I still remember the smell of rain that night. Not the fresh, clean kind you read about in books, but the musty, metallic smell that comes when water hits hot asphalt after weeks of summer heat. I was standing on the fire escape of my apartment building, 3 stories up, watching the city lights blur through the drizzle. My phone kept buzzing in my pocket, messages from work, emails I couldn't bring myself to open, a voicemail from my mom I'd been avoiding for days. 28 years old, and I was hiding on a fire escape like a kid who'd broken something valuable. The thing is, I used to be different. In college, I was the guy who'd speak up in class, who'd pitch crazy ideas, who'd ask that girl at the coffee shop for her number. Somewhere along the way, I'd lost that person. Fear had moved in, made itself comfortable, and I just let it. It started small, a presentation at work that didn't go well, a relationship that ended badly, a business idea I never pursued because what if it failed? Each time I backed down, fear got a little stronger. Each time I played it safe, my world got a little smaller. Now I was living in a box of my own making. Same routine every day, same lunch at the same desk, same excuses for why I couldn't do the things I actually wanted to do. The rain was coming down harder now. I should have gone inside, but something kept me there. Maybe it was the fact that tomorrow I'd have to face another day of the same nothingness, or maybe I was just tired of running. That's when I heard it, a voice from the fire escape below mine. "You okay up there?" I leaned over the railing. An older man, probably in his 60s, was sitting on the level below, completely unbothered by the rain. He had a cup of something hot, steam rising up through the drops. "Yeah," I called down. "Just thinking." Thinking or hiding? I didn't answer, didn't need to. "Come down here for a minute," he said. "I've got an extra cup." Something in his voice made me do it. Maybe it was just nice to have someone notice I existed. I climbed down the ladder and he handed me a cup of tea. We sat there together, 2 strangers in the rain. "I've seen you up there a lot lately," he said. "Always on your phone, always looking like you're carrying something heavy. Is it that obvious?" He smiled. "I used to be you. Different decade, same story." "What changed?" He took a sip of his tea, considering. "You want the real answer or the comfortable one?" "Real." "Nothing changed until I got more afraid of staying stuck than I was of moving forward." I let that sit for a moment. The rain drummed on the metal platform beneath us. There was this thing I learned in the war. I was in Vietnam, drafted at 19, scared out of my mind every single day. But I noticed something strange. The guys who tried to avoid their fear completely, they were the ones who cracked. The ones who acknowledged it, who felt it, but moved anyway, they survived. Not just physically, they stayed whole inside. "So you just push through it?" "No," he shook his head firmly. "That's what everyone gets wrong. You don't push through fear. You don't fight it or try to kill it. You take it with you." I must have looked confused because he laughed. "Look, fear is information. It's your brain trying to keep you safe. The problem is, your brain can't tell the difference between real danger and imagined danger. It treats a tiger attack and a difficult conversation like the same thing. Both get the alarm bells ringing. So what do? You thank it for the information, and then you decide if it's useful. Is this fear protecting me from actual danger, or is it just trying to keep me comfortable?" He pointed up at the building across the street. "See that window? 4th floor, the one with the blue light?" I nodded. "That used to be my studio. I moved here 30 years from Ohio, wanting to be a painter, but I was terrified of failure, of judgment, of being broke. So I got a normal job, accounting. I was good at it, safe, comfortable, and I was miserable." "What happened?" I turned 50 and realized I'd spent 30 years in a life I didn't choose. So I made a decision. I quit. Gave myself 1 year to really try painting, not as a hobby, not on weekends, but for real. And it worked out? Oh, it was a disaster. I was terrible. I mean, really bad. I sold maybe 3 paintings that whole year, lost most of my savings. Then how? Because that's not the end of the story. See, that year taught me something crucial. The fear of failing, it was nothing compared to the reality of failing. Once I actually failed, once I survived it, the fear lost its power. It was like fighting a ghost and discovering it was just a shadow. He finished his tea and set the cup down. After that year, I tried something else, then something else. I failed a lot, but I also started succeeding, started living. Now I do woodworking, make custom furniture. It's not what I thought I'd be doing, but I love it. And none of it would have happened if I hadn't been willing to fail at painting first. The rain was starting to let up. I could see the clouds breaking apart, patches of darker sky showing through. Here's what I wish someone had told me when I was your age. Fear doesn't go away, not ever, but it stops being in charge once you stop trying to avoid it. The secret isn't defeating fear, it's deciding that what you want is more important than staying comfortable. He stood up, stretching his back. You know what you need to do. Whatever you've been avoiding, you already know. He was right, I did know. There was a project I'd been dreaming about for years, a business idea that made my heart race, not with fear this time, but with something else, excitement, possibility. Start tomorrow, he said, as if reading my mind. Not someday, tomorrow. Do one small thing that scares you. Then the next day, do another. Build the muscle, because courage isn't something you have or don't have, it's something you practice. He picked up his cups and headed for the window to his apartment. Before climbing through, he turned back. By the way, I'm Robert, 4th floor, apartment 4C. When you do that thing you're afraid of, come tell me about it. I'd like to know how it goes. Then he was gone, and I was alone on the fire escape again. But something had shifted. The night felt different. I felt different. I pulled out my phone, opened my email, started typing. Dear Marcus, I've been thinking about the proposal I mentioned last month. My hands were shaking, my heart was pounding, and I was smiling. 3 months later, I'm still afraid of things, probably more than before actually, because I'm doing more, risking more, living more. The difference is, now when fear shows up, I recognize it for what it is, a feeling, not a fact, not a command, just information. Last week, I ran into Robert in the lobby. I told him about the project, how I'd pitched it, how they'd said yes, how I was terrified and exhilarated in equal measure. He just nodded, like he'd known all along. Good, he said. Now keep going. The secret to defeating fear isn't defeating it at all. It's deciding that it gets a vote, but not a veto. I think about that night on the fire escape a lot. How close I came to staying stuck. How a stranger with a cup of tea changed everything by telling me the truth nobody wants to hear. You already have everything you need. You just have to be willing to be afraid and do it anyway. That's the secret. There is no secret. There's just you, your fear, and the choice you make about which one gets to drive.